The highest reward for a man's struggle is not the recognition, but the lessons learned. For years, Jack Miller had been a name synonymous with success. He had it all: the house, the car, the prestigious job. People often said, if you want to know what success looks like, just look at Jack. But the foundation of his rise had always been about more than just achievements. It was about hustle, sacrifice, and grit. His rise was swift, relentless, marked by victories in business, personal life, and self-development. By 32, Jack was already a senior executive at a well-known tech company, with a team under him and an income most could only dream of. But as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. The pinnacle of success. The pinnacle came with the opening of his corner office, where the world was at his fingertips. Jack was unstoppable, nothing could touch him. But the success had begun to consume him. As his empire grew, so did his ego. The relentless pursuit of validation began to overshadow everything else. One day, it all came crashing down. Jack's project, once a beacon of success, collapsed under a series of poor decisions. His company's biggest loss came with a public fallout that shook him to the core. Losing everything. As the dust settled, Jack found himself trapped in his own thoughts. The weight of the loss pressed on him. The public had shifted from admiration to scorn. His friends no longer called. His colleagues distanced themselves. The humiliation was overwhelming. Jack sat in the silence of his apartment, questioning his worth. The realization. A lesson in humility. It was in these moments of silence that Jack realized failure wasn't the end, but rather a new beginning. He sat alone, surrounded by his mistakes, but in the stillness, there was a flicker of hope. Failure doesn't define you. What you do next does. The dark days, coping with failure. The darkest hour is just before the dawn. Jack's world had been turned upside down. His identity was lost in the wake of his fall. Every breath felt heavy, as if the weight of his failure would swallow him whole. Every morning it felt like a battle just to get out of bed. His phone remained silent. His social media accounts, once filled with validation, were now ghost towns. The loneliness was suffocating. Friends who once surrounded him now avoided his calls. The silence in his apartment echoed like a constant reminder that the world had moved on without him. Jack picked up a weathered paperback his father had given him. The Power of Resilience. It was the first step toward healing. The words, "Resilience is not about avoiding the fall. It's about how you rise after you fall," struck him like lightning. The internal dialogue was brutal. Every mistake replayed in his mind. What went wrong? Why didn't I see this coming? One day, Jack took a walk in the park. The sounds of children playing, families laughing, these small things began to offer him comfort. For the first time in weeks, he found peace. Jack also began journaling again. Writing became his therapy. It was a way to process his anger, guilt, and fear. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Months had passed, and Jack had started to feel something shift inside him. It was subtle, but the pain of failure no longer consumed him. It started with simple decisions: getting up early, making his bed, eating a healthy breakfast. These small victories added up, one by one. Every day, he made a conscious choice to keep going, and with each day, he felt the weight of failure become a little less heavy. One fateful day, Jack ran into his former mentor, Michael Brooks. Their conversation was brief, but it reignited something in Jack. Failure is just a detour. What matters is what you do next, Michael said, his calm tone piercing Jack's despair. Jack's perspective shifted. He didn't need to chase success or validation. It was about growth and learning. He found solace in reading books about overcoming adversity, listening to podcasts, and talking to others who had faced failure. The struggle you're in today is developing the strength you need for tomorrow. Jack's journey to redemption wasn't easy. The first major hurdle was starting his own consulting business. He encountered resistance everywhere. Friends and former colleagues doubted his ability to return after such a colossal failure. One night, Jack couldn't sleep. The doubt crept in again. What if I fail again? The fear was paralyzing. But then, he remembered his mentor's words. Failure is a detour, not the end. Despite the rejections and setbacks, Jack pushed on. Slowly, his network grew, and small victories started to accumulate. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Jack had reached a new understanding of success. It was no longer about material wealth or titles. It was about living authentically and giving back. His consulting business began to thrive, not from a desire for profit, but from his desire to help others overcome their own struggles. Jack started mentoring others, offering free seminars to those who had faced similar setbacks. Soft applause, echo of a microphone on stage. As Jack's business grew, he also mended his relationships with family and friends. Standing on stage at a seminar, Jack looked out at the faces of those he had helped. It was then that he realized this was his true purpose.